Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Rainbow Six Siege video. In this video, we'll be breaking down the latest patch notes, we'll be going over all the nerfs, buffs, and balancing changes to see what is happening in this next update. But before we get into the video, please take a second to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out and I really appreciate it. Plus, you'll always have some new content to watch. It's a win-win. Also, go ahead and go down to the description to join our Discord server where we talk all Siege all the time. First up, let's go over the balancing changes, starting with Ashe. The damage range for her breaching round has been reduced to 2 meters from 3.5 meters. And that's actually it, and it doesn't really change all that much. Now, you just might have to hit your target a bit closer to actually break down a wall or a hatch, and if you're being cheeky and you're trying to deal damage to enemies, you'll still have to get closer. But most of the time when you go to deal damage, you're going to be hitting a downed target anyways. So yeah, it's a change, but it doesn't do all that much. Just try to get your breaching rounds closer to whatever you're trying to bust open. Next up, we have our great Canadian friend, Buck. They changed his starting ammo for his skeleton key to 30 rounds, plus 1, so that's up from 26 rounds. Then they replaced his claymores with a hard breaching charge. The skeleton key has extra ammo, that undoubtedly is a good thing, but the secondary gadget change is going to be iffy for most people, I think. Personally, I like this change. This makes Buck a one-man breaching and angle getting machine. Now he can get angles through both soft walls and reinforced walls and can breach pretty much through anything. But it does suck losing the claymore because now you're going to have, your teammates, or you're going to have to watch your flanks way more closely. Echo is actually getting buffed. I know, in 2021 Echo's getting a buff. It's crazy, but it's happening. And these buffs, honestly, they feel more like quality of life changes, but hey, they're still buffs. So for starters, the yokai jump cooldown has been reduced to 2 seconds from 3, so you can jump a second faster. Next, the animation of the yokai failing to stick to the ceiling has been reduced to half a second from 2 seconds. And finally, they reduced the cooldown of the yokai sonic burst to 16 seconds from 20 seconds. Overall, these are buffs. You can jump a second faster, which is always good, but also your drone isn't going to be stuck wobbling on the ceiling for so long. This makes your yokai harder to hit since it just isn't sitting there for 2 whole seconds if you just happen to misplace a jump. Then we have the Sonic Burst cooldown. Now this is amazing. He can fire off his bursts faster, which will hopefully make him more effective. The removal of the yokai's invisibility really hurt Echo, so hopefully these buffs make him a bit more useful and effective. Moving on, we have Ela. They removed her resistance to concussion effects and removed her down but not out mine. Now this is just them cleaning up the game and removing dumb lore gameplay effects that really aren't conveyed that well to new players. She's basically on even ground with everybody else, and I really like this change. Plus, I mean, how often did that bleeding out mine really come into play? Like, how many times did you use it and it actually did something? You know what I mean? So yeah, they're just clearing out the lore effects, which is always a plus for me. Next, Kali's sniper rifle damage has been changed. It now deals 122 base damage with linear damage drop off after 25 meters. So from 25 to 35 meters, the damage will be dropping off. At 35 meters, it will do 97.5 damage and deal that damage at any range after 35 meters. To simplify this, they provided how the damage will work against various armor levels. One body shot will kill a 3-speed, 1 armor operator. One body shot will down a 2-speed, 2 armor operator. And finally, one body shot will damage a 1-speed, 3 armor operator. I think these changes are good. It makes her rifle a hell of a lot more consistent and it's easier to understand. I like this change and the consistency of it. Next, we have some attachment / secondary gadget changes. Lion will now have a claymore instead of the hard breaching charge. Legion's T5 SMG will no longer be able to use the 1.5 times scope. Mir's Vector will no longer be able to use the 1.5 times scope. Malusi's MP5 will no longer be able to use the angled grip. Most of these changes are okay, not really all that much to say. The only thing I can really comment on are the scope changes. This kinda sucks. Not having those long range sights are gonna change which angles are easier to hold and which ones you can really hold effectively. And that's probably going to change how a lot of people will play. You can't really set up in the same position, so you got to move around the map and know the map a bit better. Now hopefully this makes balancing a bit better, but if you main one of these operators and use the 1.5 times sights, I feel for you, man. I feel for you. Finally, for the operator changes, we have Zofia. just like with Ella, they are just removing the lower gameplay effects that she has. So she'll no longer be immune to concussion effects and will no longer have the ability to withstand. In addition to that, they reduced the explosion radius of her impact grenades to 2 meters instead of 3. I agree with all these changes. The lore effects are dumb and I'm glad they're gone. The impact grenade radius nerf does suck, but will make her a bit more balanced. She was just wrecking gadgets, and it was just frustrating as a defender, because one Zofia could freaking just take out all the gadgets. It was annoying. Now she'll have to either aim a bit better or use 2 grenades. Now this is also a good way to slightly nerf her without killing her presence. I mean, she is the second most picked attacker. So I think they're just testing the waters with this to see if it's enough to like bring her back down to like normal levels, or if she needs another change to bring down her presence. We'll just have to wait and see how this one goes. In addition to all of this, they removed the camera penalty during the guard break animation for shield operators, making using shields feel a bit more comfortable. Then they reduced the deployment time and activation time of hard bracing charges. They'll now take 2 seconds to deploy and 5 seconds to activate. This should make them a bit more reliable and give the defenders less time to react to the charge. And then they improved the recoil for the ARX C8 M1014 and the TCSG12. It says this change is targeted for consoles and should make these weapons easier to control on PS4 and Xbox One and PS5 and Xbox Series X and stuff. So yeah, it's a nice change. All those are pretty much good. There's not really much to say other than, yeah, just good changes. Nothing too controversial. For the final changes of this patch, they decided to remove the pre-reinforced hatches. They decided it wasn't great and made certain operators on attack a mandatory pick on certain maps. Also, most of the feedback they got was negative. So yeah, it's probably a good idea to take it out if all the feedback you're getting is bad. Overall, this patch is pretty good, and I don't really see the problem with any of these changes, especially the recoil changes. As someone that plays on PS4, I can appreciate these. Maybe now I can spam fire the TCSG without breaking my wrist. Well, Goyo's wrist. Or Kaid's wrist. You know what I mean. That's actually going to be it for this video. I want to hear from you all. What operator change do you like the most? Do you think the lore effects for Ella and Zofia should have been removed? And what do you think about the scope removals for Mira and Legion? I don't know, so let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for even more amazing Rainbow Six Siege content. I'm the Battle Moon, and I will see you in the next siege.